Hi, I'm Femi OK, and you're in the stream. Today, what can young people do to create peace and fight for social justice? You're about to meet three young people who are doing exactly that, working really hard to improve the world that we live in. The stream team have been impressed. I think you might be too. Malika?
I think it's safe to say that our community is just as impressed. So we posed a question to our viewers online and we asked them to fill in the blank. Children can do what to help bring peace to the world? And as you can see, we got back a range of responses. Their best, one person tweets. Another writes, they can do more than adults to bring peace to the world. We want to hear what you think. As always, you can share your answers with us using hashtag AJStream.
My name is Jefferson Bethke. I make YouTube videos and I am in the stream.
The Children's International Peace Prize recognises 12 to 18-year-olds for their social service and work advocating for children's rights. The prize was launched by KidsRights in 2005, and since then it has been presented every year by a Nobel Peace Laureate. Past winners include Nkosi Johnson, who fought for the rights of children with AIDS, and Malala Yousafzai, who won in 2013 before going on to win the Nobel Peace Prize. So today we're joined by this year's winner, Abraham Keita from Monrovia. He's an organiser of the Liberia National Children's Anti-Rape Campaign Initiative. Hey there, Keita.
Hello.
It's great to have you here. And in Cape Town, South Africa, Chaeli Mycroft is the 2011 winner and an ability activist. Hello, Chaeli.
Hi, thank you for having me.
You're so welcome. It's great to have you. And in Lusaka, Zambia, Thandiwe Chama is the 2007 winner. Hello there, Thandi.
Hi.
Hey,
Great
hello.
to have me.
Hello, winners. Welcome. Keita, just over a week ago, you won the International Children's Peace Prize. How do you feel right now? Have you kind of got to grips with the idea that, okay, I'm the winner?
Yeah, I feel very excited.
Yeah.
Because this is such a huge international platform that I never expected. So that the fact that they came at this time when I want to see myself participating at the international level to transform the lives of children, I'm very excited. I'm very elated, and I feel this is my greatest achievement so far since I was born.
I am going to play a little moment of your greatest achievement so far since you were born. So that's in an entire 17 years. Now, giving you the prize is Laima Gabawi, who was actually the Nobel Peace Laureate from 2011. Have a little listen. This goes back to last Monday.
Therefore, the expert committee of the International Children's Peace Prize has decided to award the 2015 Children's Peace Prize to Abraham Keita.
Thandi, I see you smiling out the corner of my eye. Why are you smiling when you're watching that video?
It just brings back the memories when I won the prize in 2007.
All right. Let me just
Yes.
let me bring in Chaeli here. Chaeli, when people look at you and look up to you around the world and they say to you, well, you're an ability activist and you changed my way that I thought about it, is that, okay, I've done my job?
I think that an activist's job is never done, and I'm super excited when people tell me that I've made a difference in their lives. But I also think that is my role to make people more aware of how they think or what they believe, or just to see more potential in each other. So.
And making people more aware is almost the best part, because I think a lot of people online are telling us they weren't quite aware of some of the achievements of you all, but now they are. So we sent out a few stats to our online community. This is you, Ibrahim Keita, winner of the prize. And we talked a bit about your anti-rape campaigns that you've worked on. You've done so much. So this is a question we got from Hafsa. Once she read that, she says, since you were talking about sensitive issues like rape, what sort of feedback did you get from people? Keita?
Yeah, I receive, sometimes I receive feedback that I do not expect. Sometimes there are people who say the issue of rape in Liberia should be forgotten because Liberia is a fragile state. But I don't mind their negative comments. I remain focused on what I want to achieve in life. I want to see my country be a country where no girl child is a victim of violence.
So who was a victim of violence?
So
I know there was
basically
someone.
the feedback, yeah.
I know there was someone in your community actually. So tell us a little bit more about who that anti-rape campaign was directed at.
It was not directed at a specific person, but I felt children in Liberia, especially girls, were victims of violence, especially in 2013 when the rape statistics increased to 1,300, of which 90% of them were children and 10% had already died. So I felt I could establish this initiative to get young people, children themselves, especially boys, to speak out for girls because the girls are the...
See, this comes from something, and this is really interesting, Keita and Chaeli and Thandi, because I looked into all of your stories, and you all started doing what you're doing when you were 9 years old. So, Keita, what I was intrigued by was when you were 9, something happened in your community. What was it that started you out on this road? I know it's a tough story, but tell it.
When I was 9, I had received the sense of consciousness that children are the most vulnerable and most victimized in society.
But something,
so I felt
something, Keita, but something, we're dancing around this a little bit, and I really want to know, I want people to know how extraordinary you were as a 9-year-old. Something horrible happened to a little girl in your neighborhood. Tell us that story. I know it's hard, but tell us the story. I want people to get what it is that you're doing.
Okay, at 9 years old, a 13-year-old girl called Angel Toba was raped, and it became a national issue.
We're losing a little bit of Keita's audio here. A little girl in his community was not only raped, but she was actually also murdered. And that was what started him off as a 9-year-old to start this campaign and work in his community. Chaeli, you were 9 and you started your campaign too. What did you do?
Yeah. So I've been a wheelchair user my entire life, and I'd always had manual wheelchair, and we kind of decided that it was time for me to be more independent and to get a motorized chair for myself, and we ran a fundraising campaign, and we managed to raise the money in 7 weeks for the chair, and after that people were so inspired, and they wanted to be involved, and they wanted to help more people, and so we decided that it would be a good idea to channel the goodness that people had. So we started the Keita campaign officially, and it's been an incredible journey, and we're 11 years down the track and still going strong. And I'm just so privileged to be able to help the people that we do and to interact with them in the way that we do.
So Thandiwe, I want to go to you next because people online know about your challenges that you faced with education when you were a bit younger. And so they're sharing their own challenges. I want to share 2 tweets. This is Omar. He shares a picture, he says, is from his street in Kashmir. In the back, you see heavily armed Indian soldiers, he writes, and in the foreground, you see children. So some of the difficulties there, going to school and seeing armed guards. Another person writes in, this is Baluch, and he says, this is how our children learn in the 21st century. And you can see a picture of children outside learning on a chalkboard. So I know you had a slightly different challenge in that your teachers weren't there anymore, and you took it upon yourself to make sure that school still continued. Can you tell us about that?
It all started when I was 9 years old, and my school, we one day went to school and found that the school was closed. There were no teachers. Then, like we're a group of 60 children, then I decided to mobilize the same group and had a march past from the school and went to look for another school at the other nearby compound in Jack, here in Lusaka. Though it was very difficult for me to talk to the teacher there because I was young, there were people who were older than me, and they all said, no, Thandiwe, you're the one who brought us here, and you're the one who's going to talk to the teacher. But I had the strength and the courage. I managed to do that and were accepted at that school. And the reason why I did that is because most of the children in the world and Lusaka, or Zambia, sorry, have no access to education. And it all started when my school was closed. I felt that if I just sit back and do nothing, then how will my life be? No wonder I decided to fight for that right, which is the most basic human right for every child in the world.
See, Thandi, I'm looking at some pictures here of you and you're organising a Kids' Rights March. What is it that young people can do that adults can't do or older people can't do? What is that access that you have or that ability you have to understand an issue? Because I'm sure a lot of people watching this going, oh, they're really adorable, these young people. But you have power. What is that power? Can you explain it?
Children and the youth have that natural power because we face the reality. We are the ones who face difficulties in life, and we are the ones who know best how it feels to lack education, how it feels to have a disability like Kelly, and how my friend Keita is fighting for violence in his country in Liberia. So we the youth, we the children are the ones who are affected the most. And we are the ones that are supposed to fight because we are the one who feels that pain.
Keita, Monrovia and also Liberia has been in the news in the last year because of Ebola. And there was something that you did in the area that you live. Describe the area you live and how you help people with actually understanding how serious Ebola was.
Yeah, when Ebola came, it became a national emergency, and I felt as a young man I can be a part of the process to inform people on how to prevent ourselves. And so I started a nationwide initiative. I visited 5 counties in Liberia to explain to young people on the essence of protecting themselves, the danger of the Ebola virus. And we advocated for the government to ensure that children who have been made orphans as a result of the Ebola crisis can have access to basic social health services, because I thought they needed a means of recycling, or what I call psychosocial counseling, because of the trauma they have received. Most of them, their parents died.
I'm looking at the Daily Observer here. This is a Liberian newspaper, so Daily Observer, and here you have your award, so nice picture from last Monday. And it says, Abraham M. Keita, a journey from slum to stardom. So you're living in an area that's really, really challenging. You're knocking on someone's door. Ebola is a threat. Keita, what are you saying to them? You're 17. So they see this young man and he's 17. Why do they listen to you?
They listen to me because they know I have the passion. I share their stories too. We are all victims of the situation we find ourselves in.
Yeah.
So they listen to me because...
Yeah, but Keita, listen, people are scared. They're stuck in West Point, which is the neighborhood that you live in. And how do you make them feel like you're someone that they should trust?
Basically, I try to explain my story to them too, because like I said earlier, we are all victims. So when I explain my story and they explain their stories,
Right.
and then we try to find a common ground to see how best we can go forward. So I explain my story, they explain their story, and how best we can find a common ground.
So Chaeli, our community actually has the same question for you. First, I'll read this tweet from Mike, who says, "Superb. It is so great to see passionate, young, differently abled people campaigning and changing the world. Bravo, Chaeli." But then we get this question from Hafsa, and she says, "What happens when you try to weigh in on these conversations that you're having, and in your case on rights for differently abled people? Older people will be like, this does not concern you." And I think to myself, Hafsa writes, isn't this part of my future? So what happens when you have those conversations? Do you feel like you have a voice?
I do think that I have a voice. I think that in terms of people not listening, there are going to be people who don't listen, but I think it's about being determined about our stories being heard and our stories being important. And I think the fact that I'm claiming my disability is something that a lot of people don't do. They deny that their needs are what they are. And I think that it's important to acknowledge what we need. And I think through that, we can change people's minds. But I think in terms of the older generation, or even the able-bodied population, they are our allies, and we need to include them in our discussion and in our debates and in our activism, because they are the people that we want to have their minds changed or adapted.
I know you all visited a refugee camp, a Syrian refugee camp in the last couple of days. Thandi, you had a conversation with a youngster, I believe they were about 6 years old. Do you want to share that conversation with us? Because it was really intriguing as to how Syrian youngsters see the world and how you managed to connect.
In the Netherlands, we visited a refugee camp. I never expected that it would be so warm, so like the people were happy. We found children who are happy. The vision that I had was that I might find people crying, wondering, like feeling sad and stuff. But all we found was like people happy. And one of the conversations that we had with a boy who was 5 to 6 years old, we tried to ask him a question like, if you were to be a president, what would you change? If you were to be a leader or a king, what would you change? Then he said, like, I would make Europe bigger. I would create more Europe, more countries in Europe.
Nice. Malika?
There's a little message of support here on Twitter that I want to share with all of you. This is Anthony, and he says, children should know their right and stand, no matter how small they are, to achieve their aims. But there is a conversation, Keita, going on online about what's the best way to approach difficult conversations with children, and then what's the best way for those children to approach adults with that. So I want to play a video comment for you, and I want you to have a listen to what Shima Khan told the stream.
The involvement of children in today's peace process is only possible if children are in mental peace themselves. Tell them about problems, explain to them what those problems are. They will get curious, they will ask you questions, answer those questions. Until they do not know what kind of problems exist in this world and how they can damage the world, they will not be able to get mental peace.
So Keita, I'm wondering if you could weigh in there. Do you think that children are already part of the conversation because they're living it? Well, what's your view on that?
Yes, of course, I think children are part of the conversation. I myself, I'm a child, so the fact that I'm part of the conversation, many children are also part of the conversation.
So do you never feel like you have to push to make your voice heard? Because in this video comment, she was talking about explaining things to children, but as you already told Femi a little bit earlier and told our audience, you were walking down the street and you saw something that needed changing, and then you went ahead and coordinated a response and a protest because you wanted to change it.
Yes, of course. For me, I don't think children should be told to move before they move. I believe children have the potential, they have the weapon of boldness to move. So, like in my case, I thought I have a moral responsibility to the society, and I move for it. And like other kids around the world, they are doing the same too. They are moving. We don't have to be told because we are aware that we are the most vulnerable and most victimized in society. So we have to go for it.
I'm intrigued because I don't think any of you would say that you're exceptional people, but at the age of 9, Keita, you, a young girl in your community was murdered and you decided to become an activist. Chaeli, you found that not only could you raise money for your own wheelchair needs, that you could actually be a positive force for getting people to understand ability, disability, and educate people and get equipment for other youngsters around South Africa and around the world. And Thandi, you were actually, as a kid, as an 8-year-old, saying, I need to be educated and I demand to be educated. So I want you to explain what the qualities that you each have, not your own qualities, but each other. So, Thandi, describe Chaeli's qualities. What does she have? Because I think it helps us kind of build up, like, how do we be like these 3 young people?
I think Kelly, despite the disability that she has, she's one of the strongest in our group, and she's one of the people who are able to like bring up issues that we, even people who have the uh, okay, I can't even solve them. But with her, when you just raise a question that's difficult, she'll be there to answer it.
Yeah, she's
so
nice.
she's one of the strongest in our group.
Love it. Okay, Chaeli, what qualities does Thandi have? That special sauce that you have to be a winner of the International Peace Children's Prize?
For me, Thandiwe is an incredible supporter. She is there whenever any of us need anything, whenever any of us are feeling sad or having a bit of a moment. Thandiwe is there and she makes us feel better, and I think that that's so important to have somebody who is strong like she is to
I love that. I think you made Thandi
share.
blush. That's pretty hard to do. So out of you, Chaeli and Thandi, who wants to tell us about Keita's qualities? Who's going to vote for that? Okay, I'm going to make Thandi tell me about Keita. What qualities does he have? What are the special qualities that makes him a winner?
I think the first thing that I see in Keita is braveness, and very strong, and he's very focused, and he doesn't just see what's there, but he sees the future. So he's one of the people who are strong, who are brave in our group, and it's good to have him.
Oh, goodness me.
Yeah.
I can see why you're all winners. Oh, my goodness. Everybody's blushing now. Malika, where do you want to take us?
People online feel the exact same thing. This is Jessica, and she says, please thank them all on behalf of the global youth for being such amazing role models and leaders. And then another person, Amaru, says, in an increasingly divided world, I now have faith that the socially conscious youth of today will teach the world how to connect.
Wow. All right. Keita and Chaeli and Thandi, it's been a pleasure having you on the show. We're going to actually take you to our post show at stream.aljazeera.com, and we're going to have more of a conversation online. If I asked you for one sentence of inspiration, Keita, could you come up with one? You're the winner from 2015. What would be your one line of inspiration?
My line of inspiration is the situation I and many other children face in Liberia, those deplorable situations we find ourselves in.
Now you know why he's a winner. Abraham M. Keita and Chaeli Mycroft and Thandiwe Chama, they're all coming to the post show, stream.aljazeera.com. Hopefully see you there. Thanks for watching, everybody. Hello again, this is the online post show. We're speaking with winners of the Children's International Peace Prize. I want to get right back to that. If we're looking at current affairs and news and what's happening right now, what major news story would you like to weigh in on where you feel that if young voices were involved, that there would be a lot more solutions than there are right now? Chaeli, what would be the story? Like, if they just put me and my team on, if they put the youngsters in there, or we can fix this, which one, what issue would it be? What news story would it be, perhaps?
What news story? I think that in any situation, the children have incredible solutions because we're not problem focused, we're solution focused. But I think one of the big issues that are happening right now is obviously the refugee crisis. And we heard some discussions from some kids when we went to the refugee camp about making more Europe. But I think that kind of thinking and that kind of possibility thinking is something very powerful, and we need to remember that the children are always the people who are affected the most by world issues and by crises.
That's actually a really good segue to this next tweet that I have. This is Nafizi, and I'll post this to you, Thandi. He says, what message do you have for the parents of the Nigerian schoolgirls in captivity and the Bring Back Our Girls campaign? What would you have done differently? What message do you have for maybe the families that could be watching, especially regarding your fight for education in your own life?
My advice can be that they should be strong and they shouldn't give up despite the situation that they're in, because those girls that are in those places will one day come back, and the only thing that they have to know is that they have to continue to fight for education, because education is a key to success, to every child's success. And if we educate a child, we're not only educating a nation, we're educating the world, which is important.
It's interesting when you were describing each other, I think you all described the word brave and bold, or the ideas of brave and bold as qualities that you all have. We're going to do something a little bold right now. We are going to create amongst ourselves a motivational speech live on the internet, because I've watched your stories and I followed your stories, and they're remarkable, and I know that you get to speak at different places. So if we were each going to add a little thought that would actually inspire other, not even other young people, but other people who are watching this. Let's start with, who wants to start the beginning? Who wants to take the middle? Who wants to take the end?
I want to take the beginning.
Oh, okay. Beginning is gone. Who wants to take the middle?
Me.
All right, Thandiwe's
Okay.
got the middle. And then Chaeli, you've got the big finish. And so our motivational speech starts with Keita. Please, Keita.
Okay. Children all around the world, especially in my country, are faced with too many challenges. And those challenges can only be solved when we all stand up to speak out for their rights, because they are the most vulnerable and most victimized of societal consequences. The world that is at risk today will be inherited by the children. We should not consider children as future leaders, but we should consider them as emerging leaders, because they are already contributing to the leadership of the world.
Okay, Thandi.
My advice to the children around the world, the youths, is that they should never give up, and they should fight for peace and justice for all.
And the big finish comes from Chaeli.
It's really important to surround yourself with people who believe in your cause, who believe in you as an individual, and people who can support you in making the world a better place.
I think that's the first, Malika. We just did a live motivational speech with 3 winners from the International Children's Peace Prize.
In under 2 minutes.
I hope you were taking notes, world. I love that. What's the last comment we have from our live
I'm
community?
actually really glad that you asked them to do that motivational speech because it answered the question of Anthony, who says, as a winner, what advice do you have for the children of society? So you all gave great answers, and that's why I'll end with this tweet instead. This is from Peter Reno, and he says, I'm watching you guys on AJ's stream now. I am so motivated. I hope I can win it.
Thandiwe and Chaeli and Keita, thank you for being on the stream. We will be following your stories very closely. Thanks very much for motivating us and inspiring us. It's been a pleasure. Take care, everybody.